tidy too much. Enough of a cushion. You want another one?
No, I'm good.
Nothing more? You have a yellow one. Very nice. Tulsi Rose. You okay there? You
want to listen?
can come close. I mean, if a group, I know you're you there because there's people already here, but you come closer if I can, over here so I can see you better. I think we'll be a small group. Kalyani is in Arizona, and Edie and Ananda are in Los Angeles, in Amma, and a few others probably.
Watching.
Are they watching?
Ananda.
Jayama Anandaji. Good. Oh, this one? Yes. So nobody's complained about sound. Om Mangalam Gurudevaya Devye Matrikcha Mangalam Mangalam Bhakta Brindevyo Sarvalokaya Mangalam Om Stapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarva Dharma Sarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Mangalam Om Sarashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Ashmaracharya Prayantam Vande Gurum Paramparam Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Gurureva Param Brahman Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Ganeshaya Namaha Sri Sharada Devi Namaha Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. So we're going to continue from last week's, from the Kālī Sahasranāma. We were, unfortunately I didn't print last week's mantras, but I probably remember roughly what they were. But there, what verse it was on I have the notes from last week, but not last week's. Verse 17. And there was a whole bunch of names that were based on the word punya. Actually, the first name is she is punya. Actually, it's first Smashan Vasini, she who lives in the Smashan. And we talked a little bit about that. We keep bringing that up again and again. So many different aspects of the Smashan Vasini. And then this name Punya, and then Puṇyada, and they even have them here, I think. Puṇyada, Puṇyalaya, like this. Punya Shloka, like this. Remember, so Punya, we discussed, was the opposite. We don't have an exact identical conceptual meaning in Western religion, but it means merit. And it's the opposite of papa, which is sin. So we don't have an opposite of sin. I guess the opposite of sin is not sinning, not doing something positive, like in a normal thing. So and punya is like we always think, oh, if we're a sinner. That means sinner is somebody who's done sins, and a punya-er is somebody who's done. So all of us have done good, and we've all done bad, and we've had good and bad results based upon what we've done. That's punya and papa. And we read some from last week with Swami Vivekananda from the Bhaktivedanta lecture 1, where he's saying that the problem is that we and common in can be seen as a problem in some forms of Christian tradition, Western tradition, is that our self-identity is what we've done wrong. We're sinners, and sometimes it's not even what we've done wrong; it's even who we are, even if we've done nothing wrong. because we have original sin, and this tendency in some forms of the Christian religion. And so Swamiji would always preach against that. He says, in that first talk he gave at the parliament, he says, Amrita Putra, you are children of immortality, children of immortal bliss. There's a sin to call a man a sinner. He didn't say people don't make mistakes, people don't sin, right? Sin has a result, but it's not who we are, right? I remember one talk years ago on Swami Chaitanananda, his talks he gives in St. Louis. They put him on, you've gotten those discs, I think you've I don't know, thousands of these DVDs of all of his talks. He puts 5 talks on a disc and sends it out to people who are on the list. And we used to do more. Now, I mean, he comes here, we listen to him, but we don't get a chance every Sunday. We used to listen, and Sunday morning we used to listen. We don't get the same opportunity more. But one talk he gave, he says that the soul, even it's described as, even in the dualistic literature, dualistic tradition, the soul may be considered infinitesimally small. God is infinitely big and the soul infinitesimally small. In Advaita Vedanta, the soul is not infinitely, the soul is infinitely big. It's not different. There's only one soul. It's only Brahman, right? So either we're infinitely big, or even if we're infinitesimally small, right? It's described in the devotional scripture that infinitesimally small spark is radiant like 10,000 suns, right? That's the jiva is 10,000 suns, right? And so imagine what possible sin, what possible action. Don't go a huge judgment on it. What possible, even a negative action, could change the nature of the soul, which is radiant like 10,000 suns. So our nature, even our most limited, is infinitely greater than the greatest action, good or bad, that can be done. So we should identify with with that. Yet here we are, even infinitesimally small, but great like 10,000 suns, or infinitely big, one with Brahman, non-different from the Supreme, identical in the absolute sense. Yet that's fine. That may be the truth. We can maybe even understand the truth, but that's still, how is it that infinite consciousness, or infinitesimal consciousness, like 10,000, shining like 10,000 suns, is so bound, has seemed to have lost our freedom, right? We're in the world of papa and punya. We're doing good, we're doing bad. We make mistakes without knowing why we do mistakes. We're forced to do mistakes. Why is it that that Swami Shivananda has a great line. He says, "We're divine. You're divine. Live up to it." That's the thing, right? So it's like, I love this idea. If we're divine, we shouldn't feel the way I visualize it. And I mean, maybe this is my own self-justification dealing with things, but we shouldn't think, we shouldn't be ashamed of ourselves. We should be embarrassed. Right, because our dignity is infinite. We're children of God, right? And so we don't live up to our ideals. Like, well, it's a little embarrassing, right? But not in anything, because actually, one of the names we'll read today is Mother herself is a child. We're children of God. Mother is also the child of God. We'll read this momentarily. So Swamiji says we should identify we're infinite. We're divine. We're the children of immortality. We are the heirs. By saying children of immortality, we're the heirs of immortal bliss. Thakur said, those who've said my name, those who've thought of me, those who think of me will inherit my wealth, just like a son inherits the wealth of a father, right? And then he says, what is my wealth? It's that devotion, renunciation, realization, knowledge, wisdom, humility, all these qualities that Thakur had. This is his wealth. If we think of him, we'll inherit. That's who we're children of. We're children of God. So in this world of smoky fire today, let me give some. All right, now you get it. I'm gonna send it over to you. You get tea. You got everybody else. So, because of this next cluster of names, 3 of them also have the word punya. So we're not done. Ma's not done with his punya idea. We have to think a little bit about what it means. So punya means a righteous action, a good action. And there's a danger because good action has a good result. Bad action has a bad result. karma and karma pala, we use it to the same. Karma means action as well as a result of action, right? And so all of our actions have a result, either immediately or later or even in a future life. And what we're experiencing now is a result of our previous actions, or maybe even actions we've done in a previous life according to basic Hindu belief. So we have to, but that's a little bit at the slightly materialistic in its understanding, right? And so that's punya and papa. This is in the world of duality. It's still the manifest reality of good and bad. Thakur said, "Here is our righteousness. Here is our dharma. And here is our adharma." Even dharma, adharma. This is still in the realm of material, realm of duality. Dharma. And so we have to be careful. Like, we're not doing. Of course, we have to be a little intelligent. By good actions lead to good good actions lead to good results. Bad actions lead to painful results. That's a natural thing. But religion isn't just doing good actions, because then getting good material results is still in the world of duality, right? You may get, by good actions, we may get a healthy body in our next life, or maybe a rich body, a rich situation. Maybe we'll have power and influence and control, and like this. But that's not spiritual life, right? That's still in the realm of the realm of karma, and therefore the realm of punya and papa, sin and virtue, if we were to use those terms, is still relative. But sometimes we use do good, like Swami Bhajanananda's famous line: "Be good, do good," right? Do good, right? Do good, but being good is not just doing good. We can do good actions, but still not be good people. That's the problem, right? We can do bad actions and not be bad people, right? That's actually Krishna is going to. We're back, Jaima. Wow, you're instantly from online. You came. Are you watching while you're driving? Listening. That's very dangerous. Just listening. We're happy you're here, but we're chastising you for Jaima. There's tea, if you like some tea. I think Edith made it here right now too. Oh, good. Ma. What was I saying? Something deep and profound. So we can be good and do actions that still have painful karmic consequences, and we can be bad. Of course, nobody's really bad, but what is it? And still try to, and if we have bad, the problem is negative behavior, negative action has a negative reaction, right? And if you do a selfish behavior, that covers consciousness, right? And another way of saying that, the more emotionally and devotionally, is that selfish actions, the results of those painful reactions, selfish action, close the heart. We close the heart, then we're likely to act selfishly again, right? So we can keep in that cycle of behavior, and therefore slowly we become tight and constricted, and then we would label, he or she is a bad person, right? Because those actions have led to reactions and just knotted everything up, and then our habitual stance is that of negative action, selfish behavior, right? But of course, the soul is brilliant like 10,000 suns, right? So even the most knotted, you see in all the stories, like we read the Nrsimhadev story, right? Can't be more evil tyrant than Hiranyakashipu in recorded history of even in mythological times. There's no greater tyrant than Hiranyakashipu, right? But as soon as he comes in contact with God, that knot that he's created after lifetimes of bad behavior, of course he was a great soul also, but gets ripped apart, and what happens? He's instantly liberated, right? It's not like who he really is bad. No, once that knock was removed, who he really was divine, right? In the Chandi, when Shumba was being killed, Mahishasura was being killed, right? So many different forms came out. The buffalo, and then he changed to an elephant, and a tiger, and a man, and this, and this episode. But finally, a golden form came out, and so his real form came out, the divine form, right? All those things that does not set Daima, his real form was ultimately divine. But if we're divine, what is it? The question is that makes us do selfish actions or not illumined actions. So in the Gita, Arjuna asks a similar question. What is it we seem impelled against our nature, against our judgment, to do bad actions? The exact verse, it's not in my head exactly, so forgive me. Maybe it's in my notes from last week. I didn't get to this last week. But, so what does Krishna say? He says, what is it that impels us? Oh Krishna, what is it that impels us, as if against our will, to engage in sinful, opposite of punya, papa actions, right? And Krishna says, actually, it is kama, it is krodha, right? It is kama means desire, right? And krodha means anger. And anger, we have to understand in the language of the Gita, there's a psychology of this, is desire. Thwarted desire is called anger. When your desire is not fulfilled, whatever it is, even we've talked about many times, even a good desire, right? Even a desire like everyone be happy, right? Not everyone is happy, so we're upset. We want people to be healthy, and somebody gets sick. We want people to be safe, and people are hurting each other. So even righteous anger is often the result of a thwarted desire, right? So anger is caused by thwarted desire, but desire is what leads us to do things. But then, therefore, easy. I have an answer for all of you here in front of the Duni. Just be desireless, and everything will be fine. Okay, we shall have a cup of tea, and then do RT in about an hour and a half. So then the question arises: what is it that impels us? So we shouldn't. Oh my God, I'm full of desire. Sins, bad actions don't make me a bad person. It's my desire nature makes me. That's even worse. That's not a cure. That realization that it's desire that leads us to do wrong actions, painful actions that have negative results that cause us to suffer in life, is not We're low on wood. I mentioned last week I have a very good source of wood. That's a truckload for $20. But they close in the summer because people don't buy firewood in the summer. So, no, Sadhu discount. Yeah, it's like we have summer is the best time. We can sit out here without too much difficulty. So that's not as Swamiji sings, don't consider yourself as a sin to call something sin. Well, okay, it's not sinning, but it's because my desires. That's another problem because we've made a problem of desires, and that's a weird thing to do. Because what are our desires? There's a simple biological set of desires that come with having a human body. Not even human, but having a body, right? We need protection, we need food, we need to procreate. These are the common desires, right? We need existence. We need to not die, right? So the very thing that's required in a human body, in an animal body, right? Actually, it's mentioned in the scriptures: eating, sleeping, protecting, and mating. These are common to everything. So now, what his religion does is taking the very nature of normal, natural desires in the human body, in an animal body, and made those the problem. You're bad not because of what you did. We've liberated you. Vedanta has liberated you from the idea that you're bad because of what you've done. Now you're bad because of a set of desires that are the most unavoidable. I mean, the most expected, right? Having a body is not the problem, right? So that doesn't solve. It may be an accurate description. Desire leads us to do actions, but it's to say that to feel bad about desire is also not a proper thing. So we have to take a step behind that. The desire to exist, not to perpetuate the species, the desire to eat, desire for affection, desire. These are circumstantial. They're just the nature of having a body, right? Behind that, what's the desire that led us to have a body? Right, we have to keep going back to the real nature of desire, right? If the desire is the cause of the problem, according to the Gita, according to Krishna, what is the cause of desire, right? So what is the original desire? In discussions, I remember years ago at the local high school, we were invited into a religious presentation. Along dais is a bunch of other religious leaders, like me, leader, right? And there was a very nice Buddhist monk. I quoted him many times, Reverend Kushala. He's very dynamic and colorful and wonderful, very good preacher, and representative of Buddhism in the modern world. And people were talking about desire, and he was talking, it's Buddhism by the numbers is caused it. The cause of suffering is caused by desire, right? You get rid of desire. Desire is the problem. The reason you're suffering is because you desire. But I've seen a group of 300-400 high school kids being told desire is their problem. That seems like a very, that is not helpful. It may be true, but it's not helpful. That's the time when desire that they're most inflamed, you know. It's like, but even those desires being most inflamed, what's the cause of their desire is the question, right? So in Tantra, we hold the desire is fundamental, right? It's a symptom of it's a symptom of our spiritual reality. Right, our desire, our ultimate desire is we want. What are we looking? We're looking for completion. We're looking for bliss. We're looking for satisfaction. We're looking for completeness, for union, for some, you know. And until we, all our small desires, they're fueled by the ultimate. Even desire that gave us a body that creates all these other peculiar desires that are sometimes problematic and bothersome, is because the ultimate desire is we want completeness. So. Another way of saying completeness, we may give that a theological term. We want God. We want the infinite, right? And the Upanishad says, the sukham is only in bhuma, only in the absolute. In other words, we want happiness, sukham. That means we want the absolute, right? So the core of our desire is divine. Itself is divine, right? And yogis have said, our Guruji used to say, the fact that we want the divine means that means we're meant to have the divine, right? The fact that we want union is because we're feeling separation. Separation is not natural. If a fish gasps for water, it's because water it's out of its natural element. Or you cannot blame a fish. You sinner. It's your desire that's caused your suffering. Give up your desire for water, right? That's a foolish thing to tell a fish. To tell a human being to give up desire is also foolish. At the same time, it's true to say desire is a cause of suffering, right? Desire would lead to action. Action leads to results, good or bad, right? That's a true statement. But then to say that desire is bad, or you're bad because you desire, is not a good. I don't think it's a very intelligent, useful thing, right? Our foundational desire, we want the infinite, we want God. Our Guruji used to say, I've quoted many times at these discussions, is that we really want, we don't analyze what we want, but if we were to analyze what we want, or you can just trust the sages telling you what you really want, right? But if we analyze, we can probably come up with similar things. We want permanent happiness, right? The thing is, we get happiness in something that's impermanent, and then it goes away, and we suffer, right? So we want an ending happy. We want infinite happiness. We get a finite happiness, and it causes suffering because it's not what we really want. We're looking for something, but we're not finding what we want, right? And so in Guruji's beautiful language, he says, if you seek, this is pure logic, if you seek permanent happiness from impermanent source, or infinite happiness from a finite source, right? Then you're going to be frustrated, right? And frustrated desire is the name of the game in the material world, right? Because what we're looking for isn't what we're getting, but our looking for it is divine. And so Vivekananda, in many places, he says, I honor the drunkard or the drug addict in an alley, right? Because at least he's frantically looking to satisfy his infinite desire. He's looking in a way that will only bring suffering, right? Chemical addiction will not bring happiness, right? Somebody says, somebody who's womanizing like this is also, I respect them. They're searching for God, but it's not. It won't get what they're not going to get. What they're. It's not. I'm also sad for them because where they're looking, they're only going to suffer. But the fact that they're looking is impressive. Other people say, oh, no, I'm very good. I don't desire anything, right? They're looking, they're not, they don't have God, they're not, and then that's actually a sad condition. That's actually a fallen condition. Somebody who's searching for God, somehow, what's that, the famous line from the St. Augustine's Confessions? Peca con fuerza, con gusto. Peca con gusto or con fuerte, yo creo. Con fuerza. Sin with gusto. That's his great line, right? Right. Because I think he said, because he's talking himself, he was a playboy. I guess that's the word we'd use, right? Before he became a saint, right? And one of his great funny lines in the Confessions during his conversion, as he by the prayers of his mother, he accepted Christianity and began to, and so when he comes to that thing, he says, "Oh Lord, give me chastity," right? He's like it. But not yet. like it's. But the thing is, the fact he was a fully alive person, he was searching for God, right? But his own confession is him talking to God. Everywhere I looked, I was looking for you, right? Even I was looking for you in ways that wouldn't work. That's the problem, right? So. Anyway, this is not a heavy topic, but this is the punya idea can't go away. We have to deal with it, right? So in the world of duality, good and bad, sin and virtue, dharma and adharma, these are still in the world of duality, right? Between the two, dharma and adharma are the same materially, ultimately, right? Neither of them are spiritual, actually, right? It's like clean and unclean are the same materially. So it's two extremes of material nature, right? But of the two, purity is better, right? Dharma is better than not dharma because those desires, those experiences, those actions lead to theoretically more positive reactions, right? That don't close the heart and like this, So between the two, the songs that you were translating, between your two wives, dharma, what is it? Take, dharma and adharma, take long dharma, or something like that, right? These idea between the two are both, but between the two. Actually, but there's a great mystery. Varshana, His Holiness Varshana Swami, Varshana Maharaj, many years ago he gave a very interesting, not talk, it was after a talk. He was sitting at the Laguna Beach Hare Krishna temple after the Sunday feast, and some people were sitting around. And I remember, I can't take credit for the question, but I was part of the it was intimate discussion like this. And he says, suffering and happiness, they're both material. Right, and therefore they both spiritually have the same value. We usually think, oh, happiness is better than suffering. He says, but actually, suffering is slightly better, right? Spiritually, right? He goes, it's like I was. He says because when we're in enjoyment, we tend to forget God, right? And when we're in suffering, we tend to call out to God. Therefore, in the material world, anything that gets to call out to God is going to be beneficial, because that's transcendent, right? Not in the world of duality. No. But anyways, puṇya-da. So today's cluster of names will continue. Let me find it. Pūtā, pavitrā, paramā, purā-puṇya-vibhūṣaṇā, puṇya-nāmnī, bhīti-harā, varadā, khaṅgapālinī. Actually, this is verse 18. And it goes from name 123 to 130, but there's a name at the first name of the next line. It fits into the 131, and even says, actually it says nṛ-muṇda-hasta-śastā and, right? Of course, sometimes you put an and in the list just to make it fit the rhyme meter. And means cha means and, right? But I think it's actually, even though it's in another verse, it's like, don't forget, it's a cluster of four names that describing Ma's four hands, so I think it's included, so we'll try to include before going on to the following verse. So, putta pavitrā paramā, purā-puṇya-vibhūṣaṇā, puṇya-nāmnī, bhīti-harā, varadā, khaṅgapālinī. So the first name is, so this punya comes twice, so we're not done with the punya idea from last week. Pūtā. Anybody know what pūtā means? Pūtā here means daughter, right? Sometimes putra or putri sometimes goes an R, gets more common. Here it's usually understood that this means that she is the daughter, which is an interesting name. Really, we think of Kālī as the mother, right? Not as the daughter. Of course, there's stories of how Kālī is a daughter also, right? Because a daughter is somebody who comes from somebody from, and so in the Chandi from Jagadamba, from Ambika comes light from her forehead and creates Kālī. So you can say Kālī is the daughter of Durga. In that story, not ontologically, but so there's stories like that. Also, she is she was born as the daughter of Nanda and Yashoda, and then was switched with Krishna. So this could be a reference. We have to almost get it just as pūtā. So we're filling in what is it? What could it mean that Kāli's name is means daughter, right? In the Leelas, there's stories like that, right? That she's born. Also, she's born in families, right? She's born as the daughter of Daksha. We're watching again the Devaki Dev story. 9,000 hours of Sati arguing with her dad. A divine story. So she's born the daughter of the Himalayas, right? And in the story of being born the daughter of the Himalayas, if we then take that story as symbolic of our body being Himalayas, right? Being born, and Parvati that comes out of the body. The daughter could be she's born from our body, not really, but we can think like that as Kundalini, like this as Kushika, like that. There's ways of interpreting pūtā this way. Could just be also a very sweet idea, right? Usha knows Anuradha Palwal, that famous devotional singer, and in her home in Bombay, she has a life-size murti of Kālī in her bedroom. That's her bed, and she's constantly, she goes to the store and buys her saris and this and and she says, "Oh, she's my youngest daughter. My other daughters have grown up and gone off to school and got married, but she's my daughter. So he fusses over her like a daughter, right? So it's her third daughter or second or whatever. I forget the exact. And then Usha was mentioned today of Haradanji, the priest from Dakshineshwar who installed our mom. Many people here knew him. Some here knew him. But he used to say that Kālī Babatrini is both my mother and my daughter, because he also fusses over her. He combs her hair in the morning. He gets her dressed, gives her breakfast. This is the way. So this way of called seva puja, like Krishna can be your son, right? So Kālī can also be your daughter. You take care of her this way. All knowing she's your mother, still the mood is that she's your daughter. That could be some sweet meaning like this, right? And there's the other is that she's all aspects of human existence. She's mother, she's old lady, she's in the earliest hymn verses we were saying, her names are like she's Kamaniya, she's a young woman, right? She's Shodashi, she's a young 16-year-old woman. She's Bala, she's a little girl. So she's daughter, she's wife, she's mother, she's grandmother, right? She's every aspect. That's another possible meaning of this word pūtā. Right. And pūtā, another way you could say is it's also endearing. Putri or putti is also a very innocent deer, right? If we put this line of punya connected with these punya names, right? A child is beyond punya and papa, right? That's a small child is beyond the gunas, at least theoretically. Right? Not all children are beyond gunas. Some of them are horrible little monsters. Everybody knows. Or divine little angels. Yeah. But you can see, joking. But you can see actually that Ramakrishna said a 5-year-old child, he's even though a boy or girl child has strong likes and dislikes. But as Ramakrishna said, they're not attached to their likes and dislikes yet. Right? He said, this is good, you should always do it. Yes, I'm going to do it. But then you can convince them otherwise. Give them a candy, give them otherwise. Right, it's like they're not attached to gunas. So there's something about putti could be she's a dear young child, right? Like so it doesn't necessarily mean that she has a mother. It means that she's pure as a child, which means beyond punya and papa. And this makes sense in conjunction with the next two names. The next name is pavitrā. Pavitra means holy. Holy. sanctified, pure, right? So pavitra means pure, right? Shud, pavitra. There's a mantra we chant in puja, Om apavitro pavitro va, sarvavastam gatopi va. Right, so this is the beginning. It says apavitra means impure or unclean, impure, pavitra or pure, or unholy or holy, if you want to make it like that, right? Pure or impure. Apavitra pavitra va sarvavastam, or in any other condition. Because none of us, usually most of us aren't perfectly pure or perfectly impure. They're the few that are at the far extremes. Some of them we avoid, some of them we worship. But there's extremes. But most of us are somewhere in between, pure and impure, right? So pure or impure, or in any other condition. Apavitra pavitrava sarvavastam gato yashmaret pundarikaksham. Yashmaret. But if we remember who? Pundarikaksham, the one with lotus-like eyes. It's a name for Vishnu in this mantra. Right? God is always described as having lotus-like eyes, like this, right? Then Sabhaya abhayantara. Sabhaya means outside. Then outside. Abhayant. Sabhaya abhar. What is it?
Sabhaya
abhyanta. Abhyanta means here and inside. Outside and inside. Suchihi. Clean. Right? Whether impure or pure, or in any other condition, if we remember the lotus-eyed one, if we remember God, then we become clean inside and out. Right, so we want to be pavitra, right? For puja things, you have to see, is that pavitra or not? Is that clean or not? Shoot or not? Right? Is has something been tasted? Is any animal hair touched it? There's so many ways you see what it can be used. We want to be in a pure condition for puja. We should use only pure things for puja. But Krishna is saying, but pure or impure, right? If we remember God, that really what makes us clean, right? Should, suchi. Right. So this idea of her being punya, the giver of she's that virtue as opposed to vice, that which. And last week we also talked about how she's beyond virtue and vice and all those things. With the Kula Marg discussion we ventured into. But she's ultimately pure, impure. She's beyond. Her purity, her cleanliness, her sanctity is beyond material considerations of clean and unclean, or of punya and papa, right? And so the next name fits into that. Paramā. Paramā means supreme. That's the most common thing, is supreme, right? But we have to understand where the word supreme, where paramā. How does paramā mean supreme? Right, paramā also means other. Right, like for instance, we say our guru, and then we say param guru. Param guru means the one beyond our guru. Right, it means the guru's guru. I mean, so we would the way of saying our father and then our grandfather. Right, something like that. So the guru and the param guru, and then param para guru, the one beyond the beyond. Right, like this. Right, we use that language. Right, our Parama Guru, our Guru Vishnudevananda, Param Guru, Handibara, Parampara Guru, we can go like this, right? That's one language. To use that way. Param means the one behind or beyond, next or previous, like this, right?
Where we get the word, like the prefix peri, periscope, periphery.
That means beyond, seeing beyond.
Over.
You see? So it also has, that's one meaning. Also it has another meaning, just meaning other, not what we think, right? Like in the Bhagavatam, an example in the Bhagavatam when we discussed, Prahlad is talking to Hiranyakashipu, and he says, "Your problem, Father, right, is that you see the different. I forget the exact line, but he says you see difference between friend and enemy." Right, you have this idea, and he uses the word for enemy, para. Right, because friend is our own, and other is enemy. In conjunction with friend, then the friend and the one that's other than our friend means enemy. Right, you're seeing the difference between friend and enemy. That's your problem. Right, that's another use of the word para, meaning another category. Also, param in the yogas, in the Bhakti Sutras is param. Parama prema. Bhakti is parama prema surupam, right? That is a type of love. Bhakti is a type of love that's, of course, it could mean supreme love, but another type of love. We usually think of love, romance, affection, enjoyment, so many things we can list as like that. It's not that, right? It's different than that. And one other way of saying that is para means it's beyond that. Para means that which is beyond. It means the highest category, the supreme, but it also means a different category, right? So we've said all these things about Kālī. She's pure, she's punya, right? But we think of all these terms, but she's paramā. She's a different thing altogether. When we say she's pure, we think we idea what pure is. She's not that. We think we have an idea what a daughter is. She's not that either. We have an idea of a mother is. She's not that either, right? That one line in the Kālī Ashtakam, it says, "You are not the daughter.
Yes.
You are not the little girl." Usually we think, oh, mother is a little girl. She is a young woman, and she's the old woman. But then Shankaracharya says, actually, you're not the little girl, you're not the old woman, and you're not the young woman, right? You're something different, right? With these ideas, you're all these things, but you're not what we think. Another way of saying she's not what we think. That's another way of saying it, right? Yeah. Generally, you can think whatever we're thinking is probably wrong. That's sorry, that was a big about it. Pretty much anything, especially when we do. That's true of almost anything, right? Right. But it's going to be infinitely true about the infinite, right? Something we have no direct things that are beyond conception. Any conceptual thing you state about it, by definition, is going to be wrong. She's other than that. That's one way of thinking she's parama. Or another, she's the supreme. She's the greatest. She's the absolute. That parama means all that too, right? So pūtā, pavitrā, paramā. So then purā-puṇya-vibhūṣaṇā. Pura here means full, complete. All right, and punya we know is merit, these glorious qualities, these virtuous qualities, and vibhūṣaṇā. You know what vibhūṣaṇā means? Vibhūṣaṇā, nāga-bhūṣaṇā. There's one means decorations. Her jewelry, her ornaments, her decorations are all the good qualities. It's interesting, right? And actually we think in that list we're describing she has a garland of heads and a girdle of severed hands and then earrings made of corpses, of embryos, these are her decorations. But actually she's saying her real decorations are all purā-puṇya-vibhūṣaṇā, all good qualities. Something Edie, you mentioned some time back, and we were discussing Ma's weapons compared to her jewelry. You brought up a very beautiful point, that the weapons are usually seen as directed outside. A weapon is for an enemy, an outside thing, right? And jewelry is something you decorate yourself, although it could be for other people to see. But and so who are you quoting this from, or just a general cool observation? It was a very good point. Yeah, so these are our own qualities, our divine qualities, and the weapons are meant for transforming of the outside. These are for the outside.
Do some task outside. They're sent out to do something, but the jewelry is sent in.
Yes. So this is so here, purā-puṇya-vibhūṣaṇā, her jewelry, including all these ghastly things that we've looked at, made of bones and leftover some crematoriums and things like this. Right. Ultimately, these are about so it gives us a clue. These are meant. We've been given them a little bit. We've been interpreting them as inner qualities and realizations and transformations. But this is what a way of showing it. These are all these good qualities. These are her jewelries. These are what we're supposed to. And also, there's a statement. There's a Adi Keshav sent me years ago a very beautiful. I didn't think about it, but it's a very beautiful song of Mirabai, that devotional saint, right? And forgive me, I forget the gist of the song, but I remember the punchline. These songs have an emotional punchline, right? Right. But she says at the end, I shall walk the path, only wearing my sadhu bhūṣaṇā, the holy my because she used to be a queen. She's given all that up, right, for this unknown lover Krishna. Right, she's given up everything, right? But so now she wanders almost naked, right? Or the sadhu, right? I walk the sadhu path only with her divine qualities. These are her jewelry, right? Ultimately, what jewelry, the what we're going to wear is our good qualities, right? So so all of our good qualities. So this is Ma is she wears all punya, all the divine qualities, but we can also interpret them a little bit, that we should wear our jewelry, the thing that decorates us, should be our good actions, our good qualities. And you see, if you become known for a bad quality, that's a very sad condition, right? All of a sudden, your reputation is because of some bad quality. You should live in such a way where your good quality we all have good and bad qualities, but we should be known for our good qualities, right? Those are the ones we should wear. These should be predominant, There's a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a verse, I'm forgetting, I don't remember it, but I know the translation of it, although it's very beautiful in Bengali. It says that in a regular cloth, like that, if you get a stain on it, it's no big deal, in multicolored clothes like this, right? But in a pure white cloth, even a tiny little stain looks bad. It's like, oh, your cloth is bad. Look how dirty he is. You can even most people, they don't like that, but in a white cloth. So this is the thing about with holy people, sadhus, gurus, saints like this. Every small mistake, it's dirty, right? Regular people, what to do? Any small good quality we blame. Oh, just we can say something nice about everybody, right? Even bad people. There's a funny story of somebody who Sargam and Suman told us that American who went to Bellarmine to join the monastery, and he had some bad habit. He's not a very agreeable person. He wasn't getting along. He was fighting with the other monks. He wasn't listening. He wasn't waking up in the morning. He wasn't listening to the. It's like he wasn't working. So they had a big meeting how to send him back to America. It wasn't going to work, right? And so they're all going around at the big meeting talking about their bad qualities, right? He doesn't do this. He doesn't do this. He doesn't like this. And then, but one monk was thinking, you should say something nice. You should say something nice about everybody, right? But he speaks very good English. He said. His good quality, an American boy, is that he speaks very good English. But the thing is, for the monks, there should be, you're looking for even the slight, for a holy person, even the slight bad quality doesn't look good, right? Therefore, you have to be especially careful, right? For regular people, if you can say like that, any good qualities, even they're not as the good qualities are very noticeable. You can see somebody who's like a really dirty room, and you come in and they've cleaned and they made their bed. So oh, look how nicely you made your bed. Even the rest you appreciate any good behavior, right? But other people, they should know. You noticing. So you wear. In other words, a way of saying you do wear your actions on your sleeve. Right, we showing by our good and bad actions, and Ma, her decorations, including all the bones and things that we've been discussing, are signs of her pure goodness, her pure. Putra, pavitrā, paramā, purā-puṇya-vibhūṣaṇā. She's fully adorned with all meritorious acts and qualities. Now, the next four names, there's three in the end of this. Bhīti-harā, varadā, khaṅgapālinī, and then the first name of the next verse, nṛ-muṇda-hasta-śastā, and. So these relate to. Remember, ultimately, we're still describing her iconography. This is that section we'll be describing most here. Right? And so the most distinct thing, she has big gaping mouth and fierce teeth, and a lolling tongue, and black body, and 3 eyes, all these things, and long flowing hair, and large breasts, and a garland of human heads, and a girdle of cut off arms. She sits on a corpse. She has earrings of embryos. We've gone through. These are describing her form. But we haven't mentioned the most common thing you see about her. She has 4 arms. And her 4 arms, she's holding different things, right? And the Dakshina Kālī form, actually there's a beautiful, as we get further, maybe next week or something, there's a name that says she has 4 arms, but she also has 8 arms, and she also has 16 arms. So she describes there's ways of interpreting, but the 4 arms are the most common iconographic detail of Kālī, right? And there's different things that Ma holds. Now it's describing the classic Dakshina Kālī form. Actually, in the next sloka, the word dakshina is there, so it's showing that this is the form that's being described. And And so it's describing the forearm form, and it's like the Kālī we have inside, and that in her right and left side. On her left side, she holds a sword and a severed head. Right, you have to know. And on this side, she holds a sword. No, we got a very fierce, holding two swords now. Giving called the Bhaya mudra, fearless mudra, and varadā mudra, giving boons. Now, this is the most common, these four arms, right? And we've discussed last time, a few times ago, some of the way of looking at the image of Kālī standing on Shiva or sitting on Shiva, manifesting Shiva, that the one, when it manifests into the world of multiplicity and the world of duality, right? Through the sounds of Om and all vibrations, and the one manifests as a many. And when you say the many, we also mean the world of duality. And the dual is just two extremes. Good and bad is not. There's not only two things. There's a billion things in between good and bad. By saying good and bad, by saying A through Z, you don't say it's not only two letters. It's every letter in between, right? So that one of the ways of seeing how the one has become many is to see how Shiva, as his Shakti, Kālī, has manifested in the world of duality as the two extremes. So you have the severed head or the sword, and the severed head is death and sickness and destruction and dissolution, and the other of life and birth and happiness and success and health and prosperity. Right, that's a very simple. These are ways to look at it: night and day, good and bad, happiness and misery, birth and death, war and peace. These are the full extreme, right? In the yantra, we were the way we look at it, how the bindu is Shiva and Shakti, and it begins to expand. It expands into all possible things, right? So it's a way of looking it's a way of explaining how the one has become the many, right? And to see the many manifesting, the one manifested in the many. Because if you see the one in the many, you're actually seeing the one, not the many. So that's an instant type of Advaita, right? Is you see how the ocean has become all these waves, right? As soon as you look at and you see all the waves, wow, it's incredible. And philosophically, you can say, all the waves, behind the waves is an infinite ocean, right? So deep and profound, and for all intended purposes, infinite, right? The waves are the most insignificant part, the most shallow, the most superficial part of the ocean. But that's what we see, right? But as soon as we can understand that. But as soon as you see the ocean, then in a certain sense the waves disappear. You're seeing the ocean. You're seeing the one behind the many, right? That's a very simple type of benefit of this philosophy. And therefore you see the one even behind suffering. Now the one that manifests as health also is sickness. The one that manifests behind success is also failure. Behind birth and behind death, behind war. So you can see that's helpful. That's a very healthy worldview, right? To see the one behind everything, to see everything as divine, but not necessarily see everything divine. Bad is still bad and good is still good, but you see the one behind bad and good, right? That's an important thing. But here, this cluster, the way of explaining it's a little different, right? If we go into it, we'll describe it. Because on the way back, to know how birth and death are the one manifesting, it helps us intellectually or perceptually get it, right? But it doesn't lead to the union. We need to reverse the process of involution or evolution back into involution, right? There's alum and bilum, the way back. So when we worship a yantra, we understand the yantra is created from the center out, it manifests. But when we worship a yantra, we start at the outer part of the yantra and move in. Where we start at the outer level of material consciousness and move into the psychological principles and move into the deeper and deeper into the tattvas, and bit by bit until we find the one. So then the symbols are not initially, when we look at it, the symbols of the sword and the severed head and the boon and abhaya and varadā mudra are outwardly pointed, how she's become everything. But they change for a devotee, a yogi, a sadhak who's trying to find her again, right? Who wants to find a way back to her, right? Then those very things change, right? So then the severed head is no longer death, right? It becomes liberation, right? Or transcendence. The sword isn't war, or in death and slaughter like this, the sword could be protection. The sword could be discrimination between the real and the unreal, And varadā Buddha is not just go and enjoy, I'll give you everything you want, all your desires fulfilled. It becomes what we really want, right? Ask the right boon of me, right? Fearlessness becomes, if you're my child, don't worry, I shall protect you, right? You'll come to me, right? The direction of the weapons or the arms change, right? When we only look at the weapons and the arms, you can see weapons are meant to be outside, as we pointed out, right? You pointed out, meant to be externalized. They're symbols of outward going. Even blessing hands, or you bless somebody out, right? But this is a very intimate set of names, right? You're noticing the one who's holding, right? It's like if you hold a gun at me, I can, wow, there's a gun at me. Right, it's very dangerous, but there's somebody holding a gun, right? Then that's a different thing altogether, right? And if you know the nature, maybe that person holding the gun is for my protection, right? If you know that person is your loving mother, protecting mother, is God himself, God herself, right? It changes, right? It's like if you notice the one holding, it changes what she holds, right? So these four things she's holding is in this collection is given this type of interpretation. Come on. More smoke. We're out of. You have that. There's a big thing of ghee behind you, I think. Pour a little bit. Oh, somebody made very nice ghee for this. The ghee helps reduce smoke a little bit. So the first is bhīti-harā. Bhīti is something like bhaya, means worry, fear, anxiety. So fear, right? And hara is either destroyer or taker. It comes from a word that has expanded into these both things. She who removes our fear, or who takes our fear. This is on this hand, abhaya mudra. Right, fear-giving mudra, or here it's called bhīti-harā mudra. This has been described. She with one hand, doesn't mention her hands, but in the cluster it's obviously mentioning the four things. So this is not a blessing or like that. This is one who she's destroying those who are approaching her. She's destroying all the causes of fear, right? And you destroy the cause of the fear. Sometimes the best way to destroy it is to destroy the one causing the fear. Right. Sometimes there are things, external things. Jaima, please come. That is removed, but also is removing fear. Right. There's something is like if something's causing fear, that thing can be removed, and you're no longer fearful. Or it destroys the quality of being fearful. Right. And the closer you get to the center, of course, the closer you get to Divine Mother, you have nothing to fear. Right. You realize you have a very awesome, strong mother. Right. You don't. When a child feels secure in the strength of its mother and father, nobody else doesn't feel scared of anything. But also, the closer you get to the center, the farther away you are from duality. And in the Upanishads, it says there is no only the consciousness of another is the cause of fear. When there is no other, fear disappears. So the closer you get to the center, we're getting very intimate to the center. Not just the four hands, but she whose hands they are. Right. The cause of fear is also overcome, destroyed. Right. So it's not just don't worry, I'll kick their butt. Don't worry, son. Don't worry, daughter. I'll get them. Nothing to fear. That could be, but I think it's something deeper in this particular presentation. So, I forgot a very important name. I'll go back to it. Purā-puṇya-vibhūṣaṇā, puṇya-nāmnī. We'll go back to it. Then when I restarted the four hands. So varadā. Varadā is a common name for this is abhaya mudra, or here bhīti-harā, and this is varadā. Vara means boon, a blessing, So and varadā means giver, right? The one who gives blessings. She's the one that gives. Of course, please bless us to do well in school, give us a good job, let us find a good husband or wife, let us please make sure none of us get sick. We have our list of things we want, certain boons, right? And that's one meaning. Varadā gives blessings in this sense. And sometimes a boon could be, after tremendous tapasya, one gets, a deity appears in front and asks a boon. What varadā do you want? Right? And then if you're a demon, you always ask the same thing. Give me unlimited power, let me never die. Let me control everybody, That's always the thing, right? That doesn't always work. Right? A devotee hopefully will give. Like, it's interesting, somebody asks you, ask a boon. It's a very big thing, very dangerous. If you ask anything you want, ask. Very dangerous. Right? Not dangerous, but it sometimes reveals our foolishness. Right? There's in the Devankidev Mahadev videos, who was the one who Bhashmasura, I think.
Yes.
Bhashmasura. He does tremendous tapasya to Lord Shiva, and then he says, Shiva says, okay, your tapasya has pleased me. Ask a boon. What varadā do you want? Okay. And he says, oh, I don't know what I want. You've done 10,000 years of difficult tapasya. You have to think of something, right? You have to think, I forgot. Well, the reason I did this, right? People always making fun of me because I'm foolish, right? So I want something so powerful, become so powerful, I can punish those who think I'm foolish. What boon should I get for that? He starts thinking like this, right? And Shiva goes, you could ask for a boon of not being foolish. No. We have to get them. Like a foolish person doesn't stop being. That should be the first boon, is not being foolish, right? And so the thing is that with even these boons that of course, all of our prayers, some of them are very foolish prayers, and people do tapasya to get boons that are very foolish. But sometimes, like if somebody asks you, ask a boon. Sometimes the boon would reveal our foolishness, right? Reveal what type of boon we ask. But so here is an intimate group of names. Here is like what you really want, I can give you, right? So if like for instance, I know somebody who one sadhu asked that person. A known person here, very senior sadhu in the tradition. He came up to us and he says, ask a boon of me. Very weird thing for a sadhu to ask him, ask a boon. Right? And that person asked, may I never give up my spiritual life. That's a good boon. Or let me be a devotee my whole life. That's a good boon. He says, okay, let it be so. Whether he had the power to give that blessing, who knows? Right? But it's not a bad blessing to ask, So if Ma can give any blessing, so here's Varadā, we should know what to ask. She removes fear and she grants what we really want. There's a wish so we've talked about the Kalpataru, even in the Kamadhenu, the wish-fulfilling cow or the wish-fulfilling tree. And it says God is a tree under which any fruit can be gotten. The problem, if you go to an apple tree, you'll get apples. And you go to a plum tree, you'll get plums only. Right? No guarantee. But if you're going to get anything from that tree, it's going to be apples or plums, those trees. But you have to wait. You have to raise the tree. You have to sit there long enough until you get fruit. And then how do you get them? Well, you can either wait until they drop, or you can shake the tree or climb up and pick them. There's different ways to get fruit. Kālī is described as a wish fulfillment, means any fruit can be given. Right? In the Devi Gita, the opening of Devi Gita, another great demon, Tarakasura, has taken birth, and he can only be, with the boon he got was he can only be killed by the natural born son of Shiva, and Shiva is an ascetic in mourning in the Himalayas. Sati has died, and so Shiva doesn't have a wife, what to speak of a child. Therefore, he figured he's basically immortal. He did pretty good. I just gave away a lot of the storyline for Devankidev Mahadev. Forgive me. And, so what they do, they go into the Himalayas and they do tapasya to get a boon, right? They do puja and nyasas and havans and all the things that we do like that. And then Ma comes, beautiful thing, says, ask a boon. But the problem is, and actually when they're suffering, they don't know what to do. They go first to Lord Brahma. Brahma then takes them to Lord Vishnu. And Vishnu tells them, you see, something like that, maybe Shiva, like this. He says, why are you asking me? right? He says, don't you know the Divine Mother is a wish-fulfilling tree? Go to her, anything you ask her, she can give you. Any fruit. This is a small fruit. It isn't that much, right? So when she came and asked a boon, and they say, oh, you know, seeing you, what can we ask? Because she's a wish-fulfilling tree, sitting under it, you get everything. But it's not easy to sit under a wish-fulfilling tree. My mother she's paramā, she's pavitrā, right? She's all good, she's all divine quality. So the closer you get, the more pure, naturally the purer you become. By the time you see her, it means you're right there. You've reached an incredible level of purity, ideally, right? And therefore, what can you ask? You know, so the boon she's giving, we can from afar go, Ma, please, you know, help me do this. Okay, maybe she'll help us, maybe, right? If our karmas allow it, and like this, she can give the blessing to help us. But if we're very close and we face to face with her, you can't ask foolish things, right? You're already at a certain level of purity, right? The real boon is giving what we discussed was desire at the beginning, what we really want, what we're actually after, what we're actually hankering. So bhītiharā, varadā, khaṅga-pālinī. Khaṅga here is khadga, same, it means sword. Now we switch to this side, right? So you think of the sword as death, destruction, like that. Here it's khaṅgapālinī, right? She protects us with her protecting sword. She who holds the sword of protection, or she who protects us with the sword. I don't know how you know. Pal means protect, like Gopala, the protector of cows. Digpala, the protection of the protectors of the directions, like that. This type of meaning, right? So khaṅgapālinī, she holds, or she who is or holds or has the sword of protection. So it's no longer just general death and destruction as part of material, the ravages of time and destiny, right? Which is obviously one of the meanings of her sword, but it's being wielded for us, right? It's an important part. So she's there to protect. So she'll protect us, again, like the one who removes fear. She can remove fear by removing the thing that causes fear, or removing the sense of duality that causes fear, right? So destroys fear, not the one that we're in fear of. So similarly, the sword could protect us against something, or it can protect us in a more significant way, right? And so some translations will even put in the translation of this name, right, the sword of discrimination. Although it doesn't say, it says protection, not discrimination. But discrimination is a big protection. If we know what are we to protect, when we think of, or discernment is a new translation, we've been sometimes thinking discrimination has some negative term in the English language, although it's an important idea. But when we think of discerning, or is between the Thakur says the real, the smoky and the non-smoky. You okay? You can adjust if you need. It's also a windy day. Between the real and the unreal, or the substantial and the insubstantial. Real and unreal, that's a weird thing. What's unreal? What does it mean by real? Like, or the permanent and the temporary, right? Or the good and the bad, or the merit producing and the sin producing, right? The heaven opening or heaven closing. I mean, you can go hell produce, hell earning, or hell not. I mean, you can see the difference. What is it? Legal and not legal. It can be even that simple. Right, moral and immoral. We have that's very, to know that will protect us. The problem is we don't think about these things. We do things that will cause suffering instead of happiness, right? We do things that cause confusion instead of clarity, right? We go after the impermanent, the changing, instead of the permanent and the unchanging. We go after the finite instead of the infinite, right? So and because of that, because we're not clear, then we suffer. Right, and all our suffering starts. So the sword of it could be, I'll protect you. I have a sword. I'll get them. Don't worry, my dear. Ananda, don't worry. I got a sword. I got your back. Way bigger than that, right? Or here's the sword of your own discrimination. Be careful, and think before acting. Think before thinking. Think before thinking, even. Right, right. Right. Not only to discern between the good and the bad, the auspicious and inauspicious, the permanent and the impermanent, substantial and insubstantial, but also then to try to get the substantial, to avoid the to do the good, not do the bad. There's another thing. There's other things in the world of duality like this that we have to. Different levels of sadhana and sadhaks require the sword differently. Sometimes it's not only between the good and the bad, and sometimes it's between the useful and the useless. There's many things that are fine. They may be real, they may be substantial, but they're not helpful, right? In our spirit, some things you have to give up in our own spiritual life. Sometimes we have to give certain things. It may not be useful anymore. That's also a very powerful discrimination. To hold on to something that's not useful is also dangerous. To hold on to something that's no longer good may be dangerous. So that's another good use of this discerning intelligence, the sword of wisdom, right? Khaṅgapālinī. Also, another thing is in the Bhakti Amrita, Vaishnava text, Nectar of Instruction. Upadeshamrita, Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, I forget, but there's a nice verse. And one of them is that we have to avoid, a serious sadhak part of it is avoid wasting time, right? And so one of the things avoid wasting time is to avoid endeavoring for things that are very difficult to get. And this is interesting because obviously God's also difficult to get. That's not what's meant. Not that we have to work, to do anything. We need to work, But sometimes we've discussed it. You work so hard, and what you get is actually not that useful. You put so much attention. Like you want to buy something, you buy a new car when you don't need a really expensive car. You want a really expensive car, right? So you work so much, and then you're so much in debt, right? It costs so much to fix it and to insure it, and then somebody bangs into it. It costs so much, and really a simpler car could have suited your needs, right? So that's how much time, money, effort is in a certain sense wasted. As you get closer to the center, naturally your needs would be your use of time, energy, money. It becomes more careful, right? This could also be a way of this protecting sword, right? So I like this. I mean, you can see the sword of wisdom, the sword of discernment, discrimination you can apply it to. We need to apply discernment and wisdom and intelligence to every aspect of our life. Not just between Brahmin and non-Brahmin or something like that. That's the big one that we have to, between the real and the unreal, whatever those big ideas mean. We can start. We're not going to be able to use that. Talk Ramakrishna said, if you can't take care of salt, you won't be able to take care of sugar. There's a line, right? So if you can't, with this, Chakra said, with the same mind, you're going to the same mind you're doing your accounting with, the same mind you're going to realize God with. There's no second mind, right? So therefore, we have to apply that same mind. We're going to apply to the details, these simple details of life, with that same training and carefulness. We're going to apply it to the bigger things of this, between the object and the subject, between the knower and the known, between the permanent. I mean, the higher principles of the highest echelons of the internal world of sadhana. So, Khaṅgapālinī, what time is it?
That's 6:18.
And then skipping, I'll go back to the name 127. We'll end on that. But I'm going to go to the first 9 of verse 19. nṛ-muṇda-hasta-śastā. And also, muṇda-hasta-śastā. She holds a munda. That means the severed head, right? What is that munda? nṛ-muṇda means a human head, right? So it's not a demon. You usually think, oh, she holds a demon's head and a corpse's head. And we hear all this type of, and there's names like that to describe it. It's not like we're, with a big mustached demon. The bigger the mustache, the bigger the demon. She killed in the symbolic of the iconography. But so often she sees, she's holding the head of a demon or something, or represents just a head of a corpse, right? And corpse has all kinds of meaning we discussed. But here, nṛ-muṇda-hasta-śastā, something like that. So we can give so many meanings, but we have human heads. Right? That's our the one thing we seem to have in common. This whole thing, our whole world seems to be projected in the inside of our skull, in our frontal cortex, frontal lobe of some sort. We create this whole world. Our whole existence, the vault of the sky is not the vault of the sky, it's the vault of our own brain, the vault of our own skull, right? So this could be interpreted, if we were to give this, be bold to give interpretations to she who is beyond thought and conception, is that it could be the going beyond even our human nature, right? Human construction, human tendencies, human. Our Guruji, he had a poem that says, "Rise from animality, cross the realm of humanity, taste immortality, dance in the most field of felicity." It's one of his famous lines. We have to say we have to go beyond our animal nature. That's what, but we also have to go beyond our human nature, and taste our divine nature, right? So this is one thing, is a transcendent, and some of the symbolism of the animal sacrifice is Pashubali, means the going beyond our animal nature, right? And then there's in the Kapuradi Stotram, it describes this is a very symbolic thing, but it describes you have to the 6 types of animals that should be sacrificed, right? There's goats, there's goat, buffalo, camel, cat, pig, and one more I'm forgetting. Something like this, right? Not that we should make this place all bloody with this type of sacrifice, right? But we should make this place all bloody with this type of sacrifice by understanding. And it gives interpretation. Goat is lust, right? The big one. Buffalo is anger. Then it's like lust, anger, greed, jealousy, pride. The kama, krova, loba, those traditional 6 are described like that. So these things have to be overcome. The pashubali means to destroy our pashu, our beastly nature. We have to go beyond that. Nothing wrong. We have a body, and we have our body needs and body desires. But the problem is that these should not control us, right? They're the situation we find ourselves in. We have to deal with them intelligently, right? But they should not be in control, right? But so, the crown and glory of God's creation, according to most people's view, here we are, human beings, right? Wow, crown and glory of God's creation. We've done a lot of great work with this crown and glory of God's creation, right? We poisoned everything, killed everything, enslaved everybody else, separated wealth from. We've done a great job of being the crown and glory of God's creation, So human nature hasn't been that great, actually, right? Human beings, in many ways, are much worse than animals. Animals, at least, just behave like animals, right? They follow mostly instinct. Mostly the desire seems to be mostly instinctual, right? Something from our perspective, who knows? From their perspective, they're probably saying the same thing about us, and they're probably right. Most human behavior is just bad human instincts, Right? Swami Bhajanananda, he was talking. He was from late Swami Bhajanananda. He says, "Oh, I overheard 2 street dogs, in the street today. Right? One of them was telling the other, 'You better be good, otherwise you'll be more as a human.'" Right? Like, from their perspective, human beings behave very badly, especially to street dogs. From their perspective, they're the natural enemy, right? And also, he made the line that no animal will behave with ingratitude like humans will. With the same type of vindictiveness. They may not forget, but there's a difference, So, I'm not trying to build accusation, but human beings also, Guruji would say, are the crown and glory of God's creation. Because in our present nervous system, even a simple thing is our upright spine, right, which seems to be required for a certain type of at least symbolic of an upward flowing meditation. We can go beyond nature. Guruji wrote a small book called The Wise Monkey, right? A very cute little story, and it was mostly a monkey meets a yogi, and they have a conversation, and mostly it's the monkey talking and the yogi asking, "You guys do so good. Tell me about this. Why do you do this?" It's about natural living, about eating healthy, about natural behavior, about being in tune with nature. Very good. That most of the book is for that purpose, right? How to live a natural life. Look at our teas. We're mostly vegetarian. He uses like this, right? But then the monkey goes, "But Maharaj, right? Please tell me. I also have a question. It says, and then although we live by nature, we abide by nature, right? We are bound by nature, right? That's a great line. You please tell me your wisdom by which you can be free from nature, right? You know, the problem is we're not free from nature, and we don't abide by nature. We're unnatural. Unnatural is not the same thing as transcendental, right? To the other side of it, right? You have to go beyond. You know, so you have to. So Guruji's poem, rise from animality, cross the realm of humanity, right? A taste, and then he tastes the immortality. Then he decides about meditation, about we're not the body, we're not this. You know, he goes. The real use of the human species, the human intelligence, is, it seems, from the human perspective, from our perspective, that in the human species we can transcend even the human species. We can go beyond ourselves. Her name is paramā. She's beyond, right? And she's paramgati. She is the ultimate goal. We can find the ultimate goal beyond all goals. So this is the remover of fear, the granter of boons, the one who holds a protecting sword of discernment, and who holds a severed human skull. I think the important about the human skull. Next week we can go into, because then it goes from there and it blasts off. Because I'll give you a hint. The next name is Chinnamasta, right? So then it's not even she holds a human skull. Whose skull is she holding, right? So it gets very deep, right? This name is because none of the all the section is describing Dakshina Kālī. Right? Then it shoves Chinnamasta. It's not her iconography. It's not her cluster of names. They come they're spread throughout. There's a meaning, I think, why it's stuck in here, right? If not only to go beyond human nature, what does that mean? It's also Chinnamasta. Of course, we know she holds her own skull. She cuts off her own head. But Chinnamasta is she who holds her own head, right? It's like it's your own. It's our own. We have to transcend our own nature to go beyond. I mean, there's many things. We'll go into that maybe next week. But the name I forgot, that I don't want to forget, right? Is very about this punya business, right? Puṇya-nāmnī, she whose name is meritorious, right? That's an important way. So the way you get, so all this, she's the giver of merit, she is merit, she resides in the land of merit, she's a dispenser of merit, all this type of other stuff. Here it says, but saying her name gives a merit. Changing her name changes karmas. That's the thing, right? It changes everything, right? She's also pavitrā. She's pure, right? So by saying puṇya-nāmnī, you could say pavitrā-nāmnī. You could say purā-puṇya-vibhūṣaṇā. You can say any one of these and add nami to it, right? Her name is none different from her. That's one of the important points, right? And for all these qualities, they're all in her name, right? And so her name is a way of generating punya, not just literally punya. It changes karma. It can destroy bad. The Holy Mother said that just by japa, the karmas are destroyed, right? But most of us aren't doing japa just to destroy karma. That's not a very high ideal, right? But we want to be pure, right? So that we are chanting for purity, right? We know that the highest chanting of name is called Shuddhanam, right? When you say God's name purely, right? When we're pure and the name is pure, and you connect it to it, then something amazing happens. Then it becomes darshan. Right, you know, every name of God is a full revelation, a full realization of God. It says that in the scriptures. We have to believe it, but we don't. We say it and we don't see anything happening. We go Kālī, Kālī, Krishna, 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 right? And here we are, still here, right? But we're not. Something may have happened that we didn't see, right? In the Chandi, when this huge mass of demons attacks Kālī, she goes hum, and they're all burnt in a second. Right. So just now I said hum, and we may chant mantras that have these like equivalent mantra and hum, some other mantra like that. Right. We don't know what armies of demons have been destroyed, what armies of karmas have been destroyed without us knowing. Right. Her name is punya, producing. It's punya itself. It changes karma. We don't see what it does. One time somebody asked Holy Mother, somebody who's a disciple of Holy Mother, it's not, your mantra is not working. So what it says, it's not, I chant and chant, and still I can't control my mind. I get no bliss and I don't control my mind. And my mind's just as distracted as before. This is assuming the mantra is not working because he's not concentrated without distraction. Perhaps the mantra isn't for concentration. Right? Nobody says a mantra is to give you concentration. You concentrate on the mantra because it's an effective way of meditation. right? But concentration isn't the goal. The mantra is the goal, right? So Holy Mother says, you don't know what it's doing, say it anyways. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Every name is purifying, right? Maybe one day, when enough impurities have been removed, you can say it with concentration, right? And then it's even more powerful, perhaps, right? You know, and then the Thakur gives an example many times of, like, you know, whether you jump into a lake or pushed into a lake, you're going to get wet, right? So God's name is like, better jump into the lake, go swimming, you know, do it consciously. You know, the more, then you can say, oh, there's a lake, I'm dirty, I'm going to go take a bath. Then you do everything consciously better. But consciously, unconsciously, no matter what, there's benefit. More benefit is almost devotion, with concentration, with good habits, with good behavior, good satsang, everything like that. These things are helpful to make it faster. Yeah, but the name is, she is a beautiful name, puṇya-nāmnī. She whose name is auspicious or meritorious. And not just merit as opposed to demerit. She's the ultimate, because these names are too intimate to leave it at that level, right? So you just say, oh, she's good karma instead of bad karma, and happiness instead of misery. No, this is what we really want. The real cause of fear is duality. What we really want is union with the absolute. This is, we have to interpret it. It's stuck right here. Her name is the thing that will give us that the real transformative elixir. Punya. So pūtā, pavitrā, paramā, purā-puṇya-vibhūṣaṇā, puṇya-nāmnī, bhīti-harā, varadā, khaṅga-pālinī. And then nṛ-muṇda-hasta-śastā. And then Chinnamasta Sunashika, Dakshina Shyamala Shyama, Shanta Pinona Tastani, something like that. I didn't practice that first. Anyway, thank you for your kind attention. It was an interesting discussion. We'll continue. Looking at these names, I got very excited, and usually I don't look forward. I'll just download a whole bunch and put them so I can say, oh, they're really good. So I don't want to break. I think maybe next year, maybe and then we'll. While I'm inspired, we'll see these names, and when I gain a little juice, then we'll go back to the Bhagavatanka. I get a different type of juice, but sometimes it doesn't always. You start running in one direction, and you. No, okay, let me. And then you lose steam. So, what's that? Yeah, well, Chinnamasta is the next name. You can't leave that for 2 weeks. It's just on a practical level. It's not. It's cruel. Just for that, it's cruel. You know. Anyways, Jai Ma Kālī, Jai Ma Kālī, Jai Ma Kālī. All right. They should have been. You mentioned I haven't got a chance to. I was going to check last night. We have to see whether or not there's a mistake in it, but it is on Facebook. It is the full thing.
What did he say? Rise above.